Hi, my name is Jarrett with smb-bookkeeping. I wanted to make a video today about invoicing in QuickBooks Online. One of the top 10 discussions I typically have with other bookkeepers, accountants, and small and medium-sized business owners. So I'm logged into the QuickBooks Online test drive here, and I've just loaded the test drive account, and I've made a helpful aid here, visual aid, and on how to invoice. So I typically see questions where there will be 5, 10, 15, 50, 100 invoices, sometimes a month, sometimes a year. And the main item I see is these 3 steps are not being followed in the QuickBooks Online invoicing. So for each individual invoice, it'll just be creating the invoice, receiving the payment to the undeposited funds account, which is just a holding bank account, and then making the deposit to the operating account. And I would say most commonly these 2 steps are combined or confused. Typically, when the deposit shows up in the bank account, it includes several payments. So typically we'll process checks, and a lot of times if they're received in the mail, for example, and once or twice a week or once every week and a half or 2 weeks, typically we'll deposit those checks. So it'll be a large deposit on the bank account, and typically it's made up of multiple payments. And following these steps allows the invoices to be reconciled, and they'll be accurate. Okay, so I'm here in QuickBooks Online in the test account, and the first thing I'm going to do is simply create an invoice. I want to take a look at a couple of reports, one report at a time here, just to show the starting balance and where the reports are going to go once the invoicing steps are followed. So we have profit and loss here. I'm going to run the profit and loss for. See if we can run it for today. Okay, so I'm going to run a profit and loss for today, and we're going to see no sales. So once we record the invoice, that will change. I'm going to take a look at the balance sheet too, just to show the balance sheet. And I'm simply going to run the balance sheet for today. And balance sheet's a little bit different. We have permanent accounts, so we do have some amounts on the balance sheet. But what we'll see is when we create the invoice, I'm gonna create an invoice for. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly create a sample invoice in the QuickBooks Online test account. So I'm gonna create an invoice for a round number, $10,000. We'll see QuickBooks automatically applies an 8% sales tax rate, which is very common, 6 to 8% sales tax. It's less common to apply sales tax to a service. However, QuickBooks is automatically applying that, so we'll see that calculation. The 10,000 times the 8%, it's going to be a $10,800 invoice. So what we're going to see is the net income will increase from $1,642.46 to $10,800. So we'll see net income will go up to $12,442.46, and we'll see the accounts receivable is going to increase as well. The accounts receivable go from $5,281.52 to $10,800, and that accounts receivable is going to go up to $16,081.52. That's when we create the invoice. When we receive the payment, accounts receivable will go down by that amount, and we'll see the undeposited funds increase. So undeposited funds 2062.52 plus 10,800. So that'll go to $12,862.52. And then when we make the deposit, undeposited funds will decrease and the checking account will increase. Currently it's 1201 plus 10,800. We'll see that checking account go to 12,001, and we'll see a nice even. On the profit and loss, we'll see a nice even sales amount of $10,000. That's because the sales tax is an expense. Okay, so once the invoice is included, we'll see the $16.42 and 46 cents net income plus the $10,800, minus the $800 in sales tax expense. So we'll see that net income go to $11,642.46. Okay, so now I'm going to select the plus new or the plus create icon in the upper left. I'm going to click on invoice. And this is going to open up a blank form. I'm going to click ABC Manufacturing, and the invoice is going to be for a service. So we'll scroll down and find a service, tree trimming and landscaping. We'll call it a $1,000 rate. We'll call it 10, and that'll be $10,000. And that will be the invoice. Save and close. We'll record the invoice in QuickBooks Online without sending an email out to a customer. So if we don't want to send that email out with that invoice, always good to click, select save and close. So back here at the balance sheet, I'm going to reload the profit and loss report for the current day. And we'll see now we have $10,000 of revenue. So that's a debit, that's a credit to sales, debit to accounts receivable. So we're going to go take a look at that accounts receivable. Standard reports, balance sheet. We'll take a look for the balance sheet for today, 2025. And we'll see the accounts receivable does agree $16,008,152, and our net income does agree $11,642.46. So now we have accounts receivable balance. That's the first step. Now we're going to receive the payment. This is the second step. Very simply, we're going to select plus new or plus create, and we are going to select the receive payment. That second link just there. And this is going to open up that blank receive payment form. And we're going to find that customer. It was ABC Manufacturing. ABC Manufacturing. And 1020, there's that invoice we created right there. We're just going to select it, and we're going to receive the payment. The most important item here is that it's recorded to the undeposited funds account. So select record and close. And we'll go back and take a look at that profit and loss report one more time. We'll see nothing changed on the profit and loss report. We still have $10,000 in sales. So there's still a credit to the sales account for $10,000 for the current day. And then we'll take a look at that balance sheet report. And we'll see now accounts receivable has decreased $10,000. Net income has not changed, and we'll now have a balance in that undeposited funds account for $10,000. So for the current day, yep, accounts receivable went down to back to the original amount. The net income is unchanged, and we'll see in that account, in that undeposited funds account, which is just a holding account. It's a bank account. That way we can make 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 10, 15 deposits to that account. And then when we go to the bank, we'll fill out a deposit slip, and we'll have a deposit for one large lump sum that's going to clear the bank account, sync to the transactions tab, and then it'll agree to the QuickBooks Online software. And the key part is to include that undeposited funds account. Okay, so for the third step, we're going to make the deposit. So we would create an invoice, we receive the deposit to the undeposited funds account. If we have 2, 3, 4, 5 or more invoices, it's that same process. And then when we go to the bank, we'll fill out that deposit slip. We'll make the deposit for the lump sum. And now that we're going to make the deposit here in QuickBooks Online, that lump sum, when it syncs to the transactions tab, it's going to agree to the records in QuickBooks Online, and it'll be squared away and accurate. So we'll select plus new, plus create there. We'll select bank deposit. Bank deposit just there. That'll open up the blank bank deposit form. It's going to deposit it to the checking account. We can select here and select a different checking account, but it'll default to the last account that was used. We're going to select the invoice that we're making a deposit for today. So the invoices that we created, the invoice that was the payment was received, And there's a few other invoices there. If we're making a deposit for any of these, that's okay to select those off. But for today, for the video purposes, we're not going to do that. If we have any additional cash, we can add that down here at the bottom. That's certainly okay as well. But for the video today, we'll select that invoice, and we're going to select the date of the deposit. Yep. And save and close. That's going to just move the funds from undeposited funds up to the checking account. So we'll run the report for the profit and loss report. We'll see no change to sales. And I'm running the profit and loss report because it's very common that the most common item with invoicing is when the payment is received, if we don't select the undeposited funds account, it's most commonly that the income account is selected, or when the deposit's made, also the income account might be selected, and that's how we end up with double or more duplicates in the sales account. Following these 3 steps, it's very accurate, and we won't have any duplications. We'll see the sales won't change, and we'll revisit the balance sheet there, and we should see that undeposited funds amount would decrease 10,800, and the checking account is going to increase 10,800. So that'll be a credit to the undeposited funds account and a debit to the checking account. For the current date, yep, undeposited funds went down, checking account went up 10,800, and we'll see net income never changed. So really what it is, it's we're crediting the sales account with the invoice, we're debiting accounts receivable, then the payment's reducing accounts receivable, it's a credit to accounts receivable, we're debiting the undeposited funds account, which is a bank account, it's a holding account. And then when we make the deposit, we're just moving it from the undeposited funds bank account to the actual live checking account, credit to undeposited funds, debit to checking account. I've had many calls with many businesses who have been in business for many years, and 5, 10, 15, 50 invoices a month, 5, 10, 15, 50 invoices a year, and those steps weren't followed, and maybe we have 2, 3 or more years that require cleanup. It's a really quick process if it's done simply and accurately from the beginning to record those invoices. And again, definitely one of the top 10 questions I see. I did want to also say that QuickBooks Online does have this contact an expert tab up here. It's a really good service to help out with any of those questions for invoicing or any common or advanced questions. I also offer a helpful service through SMB-bookkeeping. It's $4.99 a month. That contact an expert's very helpful. It's about $49.99 a month. Very helpful as well. But a very similar service is offered through QuickBooks Online, through QuickBooks Online and through SMB Bookkeeping. Thank you and have a nice day.